start a new YouTube stream for the Sleezy Sea sausages. Yeah, Cargo Boom, are you guys playing? I saw him chatting about it. That game bored me to death yesterday. Dickbags are off the hook. I'm not. I mean, it's a lottery. I mean, there's nothing surprising about a P13 at all. Here comes the next chapter of the stream. Cargo Boom's probably in bed by now. He could still be awake because it's a weekend, but if I was free earlier, I could have been free earlier. Things just didn't coordinate well with other people at work, so I kind of got screwed up about when I had to do what and what was going to get done. In the end, nothing needs to be done till Monday, so it just kind of sucked. Otherwise, I was going to start streaming at about 6. You know, get an early start. Instead, it's a 3-hour later start, but, you know, I accommodate other people, and life happens to them too. So, Sleezy Sea sausages. I gotta do some submarines. Get my freebie. I have 5 days to collect all these. I don't think I want to make it. I just don't play every day. Ooh, who's this? Admiral Xia Jinping. Complement your roster with historical commander Xia Jinping, China's Grand Admiral from the Armor and Steam era. His talents and enhanced skills will buff your Pan-Asian ships nicely. To recruit him, complete the Age of Xia Jinping collection. You'll also get 5 days of premium account. We've already credited 1 collection container to you. That triggers the collection when they do that. Let's go look at the collection. Well, that coughs and chokes. I'm going to go turn my music background down because the game has its own ideas about music. The Armory and Premium Shop have some interesting offers for you. Sun Yat-sen in the Age of Xia Jinping. Premium containers. Read on to learn all the details right away. Okay. Collections can be interesting. You can get containers. These have collection items in it. 24,000 doubloons. Folks, that is $100. $100 to buy 25 of these crates. That's how overpriced shit is. People complain about buying a $12 car and a $15 track. Wait till they get a load of this shit. I almost feel bad streaming this game because it encourages people to play it. And this game is absolutely predatory. Wargaming is flat out predatory with their pricing and their business model. I can buy that ship for what is the equivalent of about $130. My God, 1 ship in the game. Just 1 single ship, over $100. I could buy 2 bottles of Flo's wine for that. Jesus Christ. And I used to spend money on this game. I'm actually ashamed of myself. I can't believe I got sucked in like this. I'm getting a Twitch container for watching Twitch streamers. Yeah, just because of how unethical and how terrible the game has gotten, but how unethical this game maker is, it's pretty bad. If I'm in a game though, I'm gonna stream, but I'm just not gonna permit you guys to fall for this shit. Don't play this game. I already have all the ships, pretty much. but you don't, and they're just going to prey upon your impatience for money. They're gambling, the shit that goes on in a person's brain when they gamble and win things that encourages even worse gambling habits. They prey on that. It's predatory. One thing I'm not seeing here, I might play Agano. I'll play that a little later. This is no longer a primary ship. Yeah, you guys can't hear what I'm on a Discord with Brandon Davis still, but he does race control for Podium Esports and stuff, so he's pointing out that at least on iRacing he's made his money back. And in my case, I make my money back, well, when I built that overlay for Podium. He and I have both profited from Podium's business. Alrighty. Yeah, where are we at here with things? Let's go back here to Naval, World of Warships. What do they have over there? When I look at that array of ships, the top of my screen, my analysis is how many of their ships have radar, because radar is a game-ruining mechanic. Then on top of radar, they've got carriers, also a game-ruining mechanic. And submarines are a nuisance, but to me they were the straw that broke the camel's back. I just about quit playing the game. In fact, actually, when the subs came out, I didn't play the game for a while. I streamed Silent Hunter 3, as you guys may recall, and had a lot of fun with it. But in the meantime, this is the hand I'm dealt. If I were to stream this 8 hours a day, I would end up with 100 to 200 viewers a day. Because people love to watch. The game is kind of fun to watch. It's like Hell Let Loose. It's really not that great of a game, but it streams well. Enemy force detected. There's a Sun Yat-sen. Somebody out there dropped 150 bucks. There he is right there. I only get 2 torpedoes with this thing? Really? Oh, they just weren't finished loading yet. Okay, so I'm being blocked. Somebody is in the cap. I'll just randomly launch torpedoes. I don't know what's out there, but why not? See those aircraft? That's a battleship that launched those aircraft. They've literally put flight decks on battleships now. I hit something with a torpedo right there. In this direction. See if I can hit him again. Oh my goodness, I hit the Cossack. Kakuro had him spotted from over here. A friendly destroyer right there. So he smoked and ran. He's out of the cap. I'm capturing. Oh, he got back in to block it. I'm gonna see if I can ping him. He's shooting out of the smoke.
Torpedoes astern.
That torp's a miss. They're all a miss.
Enemy cruiser detected.
I'll just do a ping scan, see if I can find him.
Enemy battleship detected.
Meanwhile, to monitor my stream, I'll pull it up on this other computer. For a while I couldn't do that. I was updating both of my iPhones, so I didn't have access to my little authenticator app. What's that? Freeform? Where did that come from? Okay, I gotta watch out for Cossack. He might charge me. 636817. 636817. Bring it back towards the Cossack at periscope depth. What's my range? You know on my ship detect pinging stuff that the submarines get. 8 kilometer.
Enemy cruiser sighted. Enemy battleship detected.
Bam, he's gone. Got him.
Our team has taken the
Talon, 12 kilometer radar. And he's got his radar up right now. Nope, it ended. It was up briefly. Word.
all stations requesting fire on the designated target.
It's actually in Massachusetts over here. I might change and go after him. I was spotting. I was a spotter. I gotta mute that because the race administrator showed up and was talking to. Torpedo range. These have an 8-kilometer range. Let's try to turn to the side here and dodge those. No, I gotta stay down.
Hold below the waterline. We're flooding quickly. Problem solved, sir.
You can't outrun those airplane things. They generally just kill you.
We're hold below the waterline.
Oh, look.
Flooding quickly.
Hydroacoustic search until you die.
Our victory is in sight. Attention. Reporting the target position. Our victory is in sight.
Yeah, truck driving sounds like fun, Mrs. Reaper. Let me go back to Discord. Yeah, I had myself muted so he could have his little conversation with you. Because you know me, I'm sitting here talking to my stream.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
My deck gun is shooting at that battleship. I'm just chasing down on the surface. This is a win. And I just need to get killed so I can go get a first win bonus with another ship.
Thanks. Concentrate fire on the enemy warship.
I haven't read the update notes. I have no idea what they did with this update. Yeah, but they can't hear you anyway, so you guys can talk privately. So yeah, back to port. Look, camouflage ad, a dumpling. That looks like something Mrs. Reaper would use for a emote. So let's go take out the U-190, get my first win bonus with that. Although I did get a container apparently. Let's go look at that. Let's try for more coal. Let's see, give me a 3-bagger. God, it's been over a month. I haven't seen a 3-bagger in a while. I got a 1-bagger. That sucks. I don't care either way. It might be fun to build a way to hold my microphone so it's not blocking the lower eighth of my screen. Once I get off voice chats with people, I'll be able to get rid of the headset, unless I decide to play DMZ. Lots of submarines. Oh my goodness. Maybe that's what I'll do. Let's go play some destroyer classes super fast stuff like the French destroyers, which also have insanely powerful depth charges and go submarine hunting. Love my T300 base. This thing is solid. It's just freaking solid. It just feels so good. Okay, Tier 6 carriers. In a Tier 8 battle, I'm top tier here. So this should be fun. I hope Farragut goes to B. I can go handle C. Alright, catch you later, Brandon. Bye. He's saying goodbye to his folks there. Let me scroll through here. Kiki tu loco. He's out there playing Hell Let Loose. Maybe I'll go play Hell Let Loose with him. We'll see. For right now, it's World of Warships. And let me do something here a minute. Since I don't need my headset for World of Warships, I'm going to give my ears a frickin' break. Is that working? Hang on, I gotta click into the game. Oh, it is working, good. Oh, John's still there, but I'll go talk to him again later. I want to give my ears a friggin' break. This map has the coolest looking water. The graphics in this game are incredible. I bet the gameplay is so horrific. Start for this island. One thing I could do is make it so if John talks, it comes through the speakers too. Oh shit, I didn't even realize that. There's a Farragut coming right at me. Well, he's here in the smoke. There he is. The submarine over here, too.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target. All stations, requesting fire on the designated target.
Come on, man, quit squirreling around. Get turned around. I'm procs detected. He just torpedoed Farragut.
Destroyer foundered.
Good
Off to a great start.
Eat it. Where is my thing where it says I need help? There it is.
Requesting assistance.
You'd think after 30,000 battles I'd know where all this stuff is. How you doing, Icy? See if I go to periscope depth if I can get out of here. I kind of want to go that direction. Yeah, the submarines are honestly pretty disappointing.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Gonna surface here. Gonna get out here in front of the Ark Royal. I don't know why he didn't stay hidden. And double back and head towards B.
Torpedoes, direct front.
That's Tirpitz.
All stations, proceed to capture that area. Torpedoes, dead ahead. Torpedoes, direct front.
50% of my health. One salvo, which basically missed. That salvo was splashing all over the place, and it was 50% of my health.
Torpedoes, direct front. We're hull below the waterline. We're flooding quickly.
Dip down to max depth. Oh, is that thing only going to launch one torpedo? It looks on target nonetheless. Alright.
All stations, proceed to capture that area.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna slam him point blank if I get this thing to surface. I'll let him sink me at this point,
The ship is on fire.
because I don't really care about submarines. Let's see, are those torps gonna hit? Yep, I got him. I predicted his turn to the right, but I should have predicted even more. Only one hit. Next. Yeah, the subs are for shit. Icy, don't play them. I don't know why people do it. The only reason I'm doing it is because I have every other tier 10 ship in the game. It's the only tech tree I have to work on, except for one, actually. I hadn't even realized it. You know, they always do this early release, and that's forever. That's 6 months. And then they just pop. No, I don't. I don't love the submarines in World of Warships. They're super boring. They're like battleships to me. They're just a ship that's there to play. They're not fun. I wouldn't. Submarines are for shit. Yeah, you have to surface to shoot torpedoes. That was realistic, though. You really can't launch torpedoes from great depth because of the water pressure. So this is the only other... I have 3 ship lines that I don't have the tier 10 ships. It's this new line for the Japanese cruisers, which I've played them before. I think I kind of like them. And then the 2 subs. You know, World of Warships is so hokey that if they were to let people launch torpedoes from 6,000 meters of depth, that wouldn't surprise me. They would do it. If it meant that they could sell a premium sub or some dumb thing. They don't need submarines in Canada. Canada is America's neighbor, is a no-go zone for any enemies. Anybody who has ill designs for Canada is going to have to deal with the U.S. military. Same with Mexico. We're just not going to let a neighbor fall to, say, China or Russia or North Korea or whatever. Nobody's going to attack a neighbor of the United States. The United States is so massively powerful militarily that... Well, look at it. Russia and the Middle East spent however many years in Afghanistan and finally just simply had to leave. The United States had those people under control in about 2 weeks. There was a much longer period of time of keeping it under control. And it took Joe Biden until 5 a.m. in the morning to abandon it all and hand it all back over, but that's another story. That's what happens when you have the Democrats in charge here in the United States. They blunder everything. Energy policy, domestic policy, military. They're just not, they're not competent people. They're brainwashed is what they are. And I feel sorry for them because when the cards come tumbling down, as they say, you know, they're going to be so disillusioned that the people who are, you know, buy into that worldview, when they find out that the world is just not like that and that it doesn't work, what they have plans and designs to do, they're going to be disillusioned. It's like a religion. It has no basis on fact. They're just taking this on faith that these failed ideas in their heads are going to, you know, produce good results, and they're not. They're not going to produce good results. They never have and they never will. 5 battleships and only 1 cruiser. The rest are destroyers and subs. That's peculiar. Man, if you're 80% of the bottle of wine, you ain't going all night. You're going to bed.
Attention. Reporting the target position.
Well, I wouldn't be too worried about it because it's self-correcting. You know, the making things right is kind of a long process, especially when you can just do as much destruction as the Democrats can do in such a short period of time. The debt will be forever, but that's just automatic. That's from day one. What they basically have done is the original Constitution gave the U.S. Congress the power to coin and regulate American currency. But with the Central Banking Act of 1913, which they had to rename the Federal Reserve Act to get it past the people. I mean, there are a lot of people that wouldn't vote for it when it had the word central or bank in it. But that's in effect what it is. In 1913, the U.S. Congress abrogated that right and gave that constitutional power to a private organization known as the Central Bank of the United States of America, which is aptly called the Federal Reserve. There's nothing federal about it. It's not the government. It's a private bank. So they basically turned the United States currency over to a private bank, which in a sense made it, well, unconstitutional, but it also made it very prosperous, because when you put the control of banking in the hands of banks, it's handled by pretty much the right people, but it just depends on who wants to be in charge of all the corruption. You know, do you want the bank to be in charge of the corruption, or do you want the government? I don't think it makes a difference. And with the way that our current Congress is, it's probably better that they keep their hands off of the currency and just let the Federal Reserve handle it.
Enemy destroyer sighted.
But in any case, what the Federal Reserve in turn does is say, here, we'll print you, let's just use a round number. We're going to give you $1,000 to put into circulation and let Americans go to work for it. And let them use this coinage. You know, here's $1,000, you know, here's $1,000. Let people go spend it, earn it, re-spend it. We'll let you tax it, and so on and so on. But there's interest. And let's just use an easy to understand number. Let's just say it's 10% interest. Okay? For us to give you this $1,000 to put out into circulation, when you're done spending that money, you owe us $1,100 to pay it back. So let's just say they give you $1,000 and you give them the $1,000 back. You still owe them $100. Where's that come from? The money doesn't exist, so they got to go print it for you at 10%. So you borrow the $100 and you pay that back. Now you owe $110. So the debt it's a debt-based currency. It will never be paid off. There is literally no way to pay off the debt. Ever, 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 ever. When it comes to government spending, you have the national debt that everybody's very well aware of in the United States. But what they don't add to that as part of the calculation is the unfunded liabilities. Go do a Google search for United States unfunded liabilities. If you think the national debt is bad, which is basically, Congress spending money, Congress collecting money, and what's the difference, right? Is it a deficit? Of course it is. And that's why the debt's growing, because of interest on that money that the Central Bank of the United States has lent the government. They got to pay back a certain amount of that interest. That's part of that calculation. It's unfunded liabilities are just huge. Just while I'm sailing around really quick, let me go take a look at it. United States national debt and unfunded liabilities. I'll take the first link I get, just see if it throws a number out there. The federal government's unfunded liabilities, which doesn't include all the states, is $93.1 trillion. Almost $100 trillion. I'm sorry, folks. You can't make that number work through any degree of taxation. You can't.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Well, in the time it took me to sail into position over here to fight on this flank, we've lost almost all of our ships. That's why this game is so boring. This is gonna bat me, watch. No, it did a little damage, but not too terribly much. Of course, right when I go to do torpedo drops, it takes out the torpedoes. This is because this is the team that's been chosen by the rig number generator to lose the battle. So anything that shoots at me is going to do a lot of damage.
Enemy battleship detected.
They're dead. Of course, that took the Synop to do it. The Russian battleships that didn't exist in World War II do the most damage in this game. And I'm going to look up national debt clock. I think that shows everything. National debt clock. So don't worry about debt. Since 1913, there's no way to pay it back. There's just flat out no way to pay this back. Well, pay it back. WoW is online gambling. That's what they prey on. It's 100% gambling. And people like it. There's you could do a Google search for the psychology of gambling. U.S. Social Security liability. These numbers are just huge.
The enemy is about to win.
The U.S. unfunded liabilities is $181 trillion. It's completely out of control. Go to that website and just look at the numbers fly. It updates in real time. The national debt is now $31 trillion. Unfunded liabilities, which doesn't factor into the national debt, that's just how much money the government has to spend to pay what it owes for things. Medicaid recipients, food stamp recipients, they're all in there. It adds it all up. Those aren't part of the national debt. That's money that's been promised to be spent, but it's not in the budget. They don't even add that. If you add that to the national debt, you have 181 trillion plus 31 trillion. You're over $200 trillion. in the red. Federal tax revenue is $4.6 trillion. Wow. Debt per citizen is kind of a scary thing. Wow, usdebtclock.org. This is scary stuff. Liability per citizen is a number that reflects how much money every man, woman, and child in the United States owes to pay for the unfunded liabilities, government programs that are, outside of the national debt and the national budget. Plus, I think it includes the national debt. It's the unfunded liabilities plus the national debt. You divide that by the number of people in the United States, every man, woman, and child. Right now, a child born today, January 27, 2023, every child that was born today just inherited $541,609 in debt. That's how much of a workload they've put on each citizen at the state and federal level with their spending and with their government programs, and the retirement money that they have to pay the people on the pensions, and U.S. union workers they're in the green. But if you look at all this stuff, dude, over $500,000 for every man, woman, and child. 5 unfunded liabilities. The number in the very bottom right-hand corner of that page says liability per citizen. $541,609. That's not even when they turn 18. That's just if you divide out that debt to everybody in your lifetime. If they were to balance the budget right now and take on no further liabilities, just the liabilities and the debts that they have right now, snapshot, boom, January 27, 2023. If you're to just take a snapshot right now of how much money is owed by the government right now, everybody's fair share, everybody of all ages, newborn to 99 years old in hospice,
The enemy is about to...
everybody owes $541,000. That's what it would take to pay what they have spent and taken on as a liability to have to spend. So when IC talks about, I'm worried about the debt, the debt's nothing. It's the unfunded liabilities that are really going to kill us, because we just can't earn that much money. They're not going to be able to tax me $541,000. I won't make enough money to pay that kind of money in taxes in my lifetime. I don't know about you guys. There are megalithic trillionaires out there that could probably pay this thing off in their lifetimes. But probably not. So there is really only one way for this to end, and that is the complete and total collapse of the monetary system. But then it begs the question, who do you owe the money to? Who's going to go collect on the debt, right? Yes, governments have enacted laws that say, you have to pay your taxes and you have to do this and that and the next thing, but that doesn't even put a dent in those kind of numbers. It doesn't even put a dent in it. So literally at the end of the day, all it really comes down to is how much do they want to strangle the middle and lower classes? How much strangulation can they take? Oh, I just want a super container. See what I mean about gambling? Let's see if it's anything good. Usually not. And it's not. 50 expendable credit bonuses, 50 battles worth of a 40% credit bonus. Completely, totally, and utterly worthless. But you could have won a ship. You could have won a ship worth $130 in there. Let me go get another one of those containers. Try again. Yeah, the left will kill the poor and starve the middle class. It's really not about killing off anybody or starving the middle class. They do need to get rid of the middle class, because the middle class they're the one class of people that want to work for what they have and not rely on the government to give them their fair share. Because in a communist political system, or economic system more than political, but in a communist world, there's no private property rights. The government gives everybody everything equally. Except that never happens. There's always some people that get a little bit more. But everybody else is equally, miserable. So what they really want to do is make it so people like Bezos or Bill Gates or any number of people that have just the robber barons of back in the day, the train barons, the steel barons, you name it. There have been people that have just made themselves massively rich beyond comprehension. To the point where all these megalithic people get in pecker contests with each other about who's the bigger trillionaire or billionaire or millionaire or what have you, whatever level of heir you are, who's got the the biggest wealth. Because when it comes right down to it, when it comes to basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, and your health, medical care for your health, when it comes to really basic human needs, nobody needs to be a trillionaire or a millionaire. They're trying to make it that way so that you have to rely on the government for all of those basic needs. Hence the destruction of the middle class. Ideologically, the middle class is going to prevent you from instituting communism, because middle class people have moderate capacity to have proper private property. So they don't want communism. They don't want to be told, here's your 8x15 apartment in a 90-story building. You get to live here with your family of 9. They want to go buy a house in the suburbs. They want to have their life, So that class of people are the ones that kind of can't afford healthcare right now. If you're less than middle class, the healthcare is cheap. It's free. But if you're middle class, it's exceedingly expensive to protect your family with healthcare. And because a lot of the poor people in the United States suddenly and abruptly have healthcare that they can't afford because they're too poor to pay for it, always have been, now you have this massive demand for healthcare, and it unmasked a very serious problem in our country. We lacked the facilities and infrastructure, trained personnel, doctors, nurses, and you name it, to adequately care for these people. So now there's this flurry of building. I don't know what big city people on the stream come from, but in my city, the city that's nearest me anyway, is Grand Rapids, Michigan. You can't believe how many new hospitals and facilities. I mean, they just popped up like dandelions. They're everywhere. Well, Canada's always had kind of a socialized medicine, as we would maybe refer to it. All right, let's go Gneisen now. I think we're free to go. So, I don't know that the same type of problem exists there. I think Canada might have some. I've heard of people in Canada having to wait, 6 months to get in for a checkup, and because of all the demand. So they could be having a similar problem for the same reason, very easily. In places where, it's kind of state run. But ideologically, anyways, back to my point, communism believes in, the government owning all of the property in the nation's borders and apportioning that out, according to fairness. Each person gets such and such a share of it. Hey, how about it, Violent Gents? How are you doing? What type of gaming were you doing, man? Little World of Warships? We're doing what no other stream dares to do. We're talking politics. Sort of. It's not really an argument about which system is better and which system is worse, but just what the systems are. Okay, so he's dead. Omaha's way over there. That that guy gonna get hit? Come on, Gneiss, now catch up. I mean, damn, I'm a cruiser in your battleship and you're hiding behind me? I could be throwing... I'm gonna try one salvo of AP and see what I get out of this guy. He hasn't even begun to shoot back at me. I don't get that.
Enemy aircraft carrier sighted.
Ah, crap for damage.
Fighter airborne.
At least the threat of AP is keeping him angled.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Uh-oh, uh-oh, I shouldn't have slowed it. Should have just went rudder. Oh, I made it. Good.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Sims is kind of in the area. You know what I'll do in case more torps are coming? I'll run my hydro. See if I can speed out here past the Emile Betting.
Torpedoes to port.
Wow, the carrier's here too.
Torpedoes to port.
I won't worry about the carrier right off the bat. I'm gonna get away from that? Yes. Please kill this Emile. He's crowding me and I don't like that. That's rude. It's just stupid on top of everything else.
Attention. Reporting a target position.
That battleship's looking at me. So's that cruiser. I'm gonna outrun the cruiser's drop. They probably don't know how to aim at a 35-knot ship.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
Enemy aircraft carrier destroyed.
This thing's pretty agile. I don't know how good I'm going to be here. Oh yes, they all missed. The rig number generator is definitely on our side. Yeah, I don't know that we're screwed necessarily. Icy, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I do know that that form of debt system invokes wars. World War II, a lot of people don't. I'm an amateur historian of World War II. I know way more about it than average. But the main reason Germany went to war was because of the debt straddled to it by the Treaty of Versailles in the wake of World War I. It wasn't a war against genetic Jews. It was a war against what Hitler called finance Jewry. That needs to be translated. When they spoke of finance Jewry, they were referring to the central banks of the various countries, including the American Federal Reserve, which basically is the banking organizations worldwide that tended to Germany's debt. Now,
Our team has taken the lead.
in Germany, in the 1920s and 1930s, the only people there in the wake of World War I that had money were Jewish people. And the Jewish people are very closely knit and tied to banking worldwide, especially in that era. So they were not suffering. They had access to money, no big deal, because, you know, they could get it from Jewish lenders in other countries. So even though Germany was starving to death, the Jews that were living there were not. And that's kind of a big problem for German people. It wasn't very hard to gin up anger at the Jews by the Nazis in the war. So the Jews, being very international with their finance and their business and their cross-border relations, were also had a kinship with the Comintern, which is what it was called at the time, which stood for the Communists International. And the Communists International, in fact, had just provoked a civil war in Spain on the eve of World War II proper, during the mid-1930s. And so, with the Communists at war and a civil war there, the same thing was about to happen in Germany, where you had Communists, and then you had the Nationalists, and you had huge amounts of political parties vying for power, with the power vacuum that ensued after World War I. And it's very unfortunate that the Nazis won out. And we all know the basic outcome of that. That wasn't pretty. You know, that led to the Holocaust. Originally, Germany didn't want to kill any Jews. They just wanted them to get out of Germany. They didn't need them there anymore because they didn't need their finances. And this is the other reason why World War II was fought, is because Hitler nationalized the Deutschmark. In other words, the Nazis took the international currency, printed boatloads of it. So, we owe you this many trillions of dollars? They just fired up the printing press and said, here's your trillions of dollars. Well, that caused inflation. And then that money became worthless. In fact, you could get more heat from the burning paper of burning your Deutschmarks than you could get from burning the coal that you would buy with your Deutschmarks. That's how valueless the money had for some time. So they nationalized the currency. They came out with a new Deutschmark that was not on the international exchange, and the value of that Deutschmark was tied to the productivity of the German citizen, not what the international banker said it's worth compared to other currencies. Germany said, to hell with you, we have our new currency, we're just going to trade behind our borders with it, and by the way, if you want to trade with us, you're welcome to, but to do that, you're going to buy our Deutschmarks at our exchange rate. Well, the one thing that you don't do is mess with people's money. You know? You don't mess with people's money. So quite naturally, one shot at me. Who cares? I was bored of it. We got the win. The rig number generator's giving it to us. Enough of that boredom. But a lot of people think that World War II was all about this pathological hatred of the Jews that the German people had, and that's just not the truth. There were certain people, very politically motivated people, that twisted it as such. Because it's really easy to hate people that are outsiders. And so that they were picked as a target of that. And it happened in history to the Jews elsewhere too. There was a Jewish massacre in England. God, what year was that? It was in the Middle Ages. I'm going to Google it just to kind of remember. It took place on March 16th, 1190. That'd be towards the end of the 12th century, where 150 Jews were killed. Okay, so that's just basically, that's a terrible massacre. 150 people killed because they were Jewish. You could look it up, Jewish massacre in England, if you want to read about it, but it's not uncommon for people to turn on outsiders. In this case, they also, as with the Nazis, they happen to be the Jews. But don't forget, the Nazis were killing everybody at the time. Gypsies and homosexuals. They were very badly hated there because they weren't making babies to grow up to be soldiers and workers.
General quarters.
At that time, you wanted population. Now we want population control, so everybody's all about, giving people that freedom. There's a lot of reasons for that. 2, 3, 4, 5 battleships here. Oh, I forgot to turn John back on. Let me do that. Configure settings. I hate how long this program takes to bring these up. There, now if John happens to talk, I'll hear him. My voice chat, because I don't want to put my headset on for voice comms, unless we're just really super actively involved in communication. I'm not going to wear it just in case. So yeah, that's, World War II, you got to look at it from a little bit of a different angle that way. You have to realize that politically, Germany was strapped for cash. And they had this population of people there, which they didn't consider German, that had money from abroad. Money that originated in countries that Germany was shipping out, Treaty of Versailles debt payments to. And so that created a lot of animosity between Jewish people and the German people. And you have to go one step further. It wasn't just the finance, but ideologically, Jewish people in that era were supporters of socialism and communism in all different places. They were financial backers of the Comintern, the Communist International. And if you were to put German nationalism up against international communism, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. So it's a lesson. The lesson, the takeaway from all of that is just to realize that you can't financially enslave people and think that they're just going to bend at the knee when the tax collector comes around. Ain't gonna happen. It simply isn't.
Enemy submarines.
Those people are gonna go to war. At that point, they're willing to die. Wow, my torps might catch that submarine out there on the surface. He did turn right in front of them. Because everybody's happy and life is good until the milk trucks quit running. That's all I got to say about it. You want to screw around, put us in the debt, keep trying to control us through taxes and finances or whatever other tools you have available. Eventually, yeah, it's going to be a problem, one that you can't get control of again.
Torpedo.
And it happened in Germany. It happens in history. I just don't want it to happen here, And fortunately, I think we still have a political system that works. We have two political parties that don't. And there's probably not much we can do about that in the immediate future, but they also know that they could end up creating a problem that they can no longer control by starving us. So I don't think that that's kind of on their agenda. Am I going to hit him? The ping? No, I missed him. He dove underneath it. Let's surface. He killed the salmon. I can hear the dumbass rednecks that live in my neighborhood revving their engines. It's really weird where I live. Everybody's got to own a pickup truck. Literally everybody. So they own this pickup truck with all this towing and hauling capacity, but they never even so much as throw a bag of potatoes in the back of those things. They just drive around because they got big balls and I got a truck. I think if you want to own a truck, you got to have a reason to own a truck. Or any vehicle that you own. Part of the fun nowadays is they do put big-ass engines in trucks. That's fun. It's kind of a sports car kind of thing. Here in Michigan, a lot of the people own the trucks because they're four-wheel drive. We get a lot of snow here, and you need it.
Torpedoes astern.
As for me, I like to fit in parking spots. So I have a Grand Cherokee. As it turns out, it's got a pretty big engine. I got a Hemi in it. It's not the Trackhawk. It's not the big Hemi. It's the 5.7 liter, but plenty fast. I'm super happy with it. What shall we do here? Musashi knows there's a submarine in the area, so... Cool. Ognjevoy and my U-190, we got the capture done. I'm going to head for B. I might try to split the gap here. I might try to get into their back ranks. They made that hard to do with the subs because they're sort of slow on the surface compared to other ships. But they're way faster than subs were in World War II. Alrighty. If you go back even further in warfare, man, look at what war does to technology. I'm reading a book right now called Nothing Like It in the World by Stephen Ambrose. And what it's about is the Transcontinental Railroad, the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific Railroads, and connecting the United States. And it's really hard to believe that just that 100 and some odd years ago, you almost couldn't go to California. If you did, it was a 3-month project and most people died on the journey, either sick at sea or diseases cutting through Panama by land, a bit picked up by a ship on the other side. I mean, it is amazing to think how different things were really not that long ago, and how huge of an advantage it was for our country in the wake of the Civil War that this transportation system was built. The railroad, and what they had to go through to get that railroad done. You know, politically, if you were east of the Rocky, or yeah, if you were east of the Rockies, you kind of had to deal with hostile Indians, who quite rightly so saw the white man as invaders into land that they considered theirs, and it is theirs. And once the Civil War ended, of course, the Union Army had plenty of soldiers and machinery to go put the Indians down, which they did. It's brutal, man. That's a chapter of our history that I really never really studied all that much. Now I'm reading a very detailed book about how this railroad was built.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Hey, JMC, how is your weekend shaping up? I'm assuming you raced tonight. Oh, I shouldn't have used that yet. I should have waited for these depth bombs to hit. They might have missed. I need help.
I need help.
I'm picked up on hydroacoustic search. You used to be able to go to max depth and not worry about it, so this battle's over. Let's go do a different ship. Thanks for the raid, GMC 989. What else do we got here? That's the last of my first win bonuses. We'll see if that ship gets a win. I don't hardly care. Those subs are so boring. I can't believe that they even put them in there. I don't know why they did that. It just doesn't add up. I'm going to play my Mogador. Mogador's a fun ship. We'll just throw some little bonuses on it. I do want to see what it's like for depth charges. 5,100. Oh, 3,400. They're not the best. But they're not terrible either. What's my concealment? Not that great. 7.5. This is a ship I don't see people play very often. Everybody just has the tier 10 nowadays. This line's been out so long. People also generally don't like to play tier 9 ships in World of Warships because they're very expensive. The post-battle repairs are very, very expensive with this ship. Ounce per ounce, it's the most expensive ship to play. Tier 9 ships, that whole tier. Congrats on the P3, dude. Especially at Talladega, that's a lottery. I bet coming out of 4 you thought you were going to win. It could have happened.
General quarters.
Good luck and fair seas.
Where do I want to give vision? I guess it's going to depend where Pommern goes. And then I have Ignacio Allende. I do not know what that ship's all about. It looks potentially like a British cruiser that's been handed over. It just kind of looks Britishy. Doesn't mean it has British characteristics, though. So they got a U-2501, which late battle I want to be able to chase down. Yeah, if you're interested in the Daytona 500, get some practice. I know when I played iRacing for the first time, the Daytona 500, I joined in November of 2019. And in February of 2020, I was sick with COVID before it had a fancy name, but that's very much what I had. And I did it. I did the Daytona 500. I sat in my chair. Actually, I got sick with COVID about a week after the Daytona 500. So in any case, I finished, I believe, 4th or 6th in my split. And let's see what's spotting me. Something that's going, oh shit, there's a ship I can't outrun. And I'm not running. Despite finishing in either 4th or 6th, I forget which, it might have been 6th, I was 2 laps down. That's how it was, too. I think I might have been 5th. I remember 1st through 4th place being on the lead lap, and I was the next not lead lap car. So only the top 4 were in the lead lap in my first ever Daytona 500, the only one as it turns out. See, the rig number generator just gave him a ton of hits, just not a ton of damage. So something's out there spotting me. I'm gonna go find out what.
Engine boost.
I'm not worried about Yamato.
Enemy battleship detected.
I'm gonna return fire.
The ship is on fire.
Of course, it takes the engine. Something's out there spotting me. There it is. That's what's doing the spotting. Let's go get the Fletcher. Of course, nobody's here to help me, but that's okay.
Battleship sighted.
The ship is on fire.
Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy battleship detected.
Next. That's all I feel about World of Warships. I completely don't... I put zero effort into this game anymore. It's not fun. It's a pointless waste of time. And I will probably stop streaming this pretty quick. I just got to see if I got that win with that sub. No, I did not. You have been penalized for quitting the battle early. Oh no, don't penalize me, Wargaming. What will I ever do if you penalize me? quit your game and go play something else the rest of the night like I always do. Because your game is shit. My fear when I stream this game, and I said this at the beginning of the stream, is that people will see this game and think it's worth playing. I'm only playing it because why not? Get my first win bonuses and get out quick as you can. Run for the hills. There's all kinds of stuff I could be unlocking. Now they have a new collection I could go for. You know how many collections I haven't finished because I basically quit playing this game? I used to finish all the collections, even before anybody else in the game did. Played this game 8 hours a day minimally. Throughout the whole period of time when it was a really good game, a marginal game, a complete and total waste of time, and now where it is now is even worse than that, so... This game is garbage. It's absolute garbage. Don't play it. And if you do, because it is kind of fun at the low tiers, get up to about tier 6. This game is free. This is the way I always put it to people. Is this game is free up to tier 6, maybe tier 7 or 8. It starts to become expensive to play without buying premium at tier 8. But by then, they hope they've got you addicted. By then, they hope they've socially engineered you to fuel your addictive personality with the loot crates and are spending money on them. And by then, I hope they hope to have you addicted to buying premium ships, which are absurdly overpriced by a factor of 10x. You know, tier 8 ships shouldn't cost $80. They should cost $8 or maybe 12. Like an iRacing car. On iRacing, you can buy a car. People always complain about iRacing cars. They have no idea. Go buy content on this game. You'll see what expensive is. iRacing, to spend 12 or 15 bucks on a car is basically a free car. So... This is the other thing, too, is I hate these maps. Some of the maps I've had tonight weren't terrible. That last one I was on, I actually kind of like. Northern Lights, but Northern Waters is for shit. As most of these maps are. So yeah, play up to about tier 6, tier 7. If you want to dabble in the game and kind of see the graphics, do the ooh and the ah, but definitely don't get into this game. I'm already itching to play something else, just because this is so freaking boring. Let's see what John's doing. Yeah, he's still playing ranked battles. This has some other battle modes, too. Chasing a blimp. I really don't know what to do, man. I feel super energetic, but tired at the same time. It's kind of weird. I do miss the days. For example, just before I got into World Warships, I was into Battlefield. And I would play that morning, noon, and night. Every free minute, playing Battlefield. Maybe that's what I should do, is go play Battlefield for the rest of the night. And then World Warships came. I did the same thing with that. You know, games were so good at one point where you could just go pick a game, it was a good game, it was fun, that was your blockbuster. I mean, before Battlefield 4, it was Battlefield 3. Before Battlefield 3, it was Well, actually, before in Battlefields, it was obviously Battlefield 2, but in the in-between period, I actually did a whole bunch of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But I'm not talking about the Modern Warfare that's out now, which is pretty much an unmitigated disaster. I mean, the first Modern Warfare, and then Modern Warfare 2 that came after it. Fantastic games. I should play the single-player campaign so you guys can see it. But now, what this game has become, it's just not fun anymore. It's just not a good game. I'm in his radar range. Once he gets to his island, he's going to pop it. That's typically what they do. Let's kick off some trops. think I'm going to torp charge that Baltimore. Well, there is a Benson there. I better dive. Le Terrible is here to protect me to some extent. I'll get turned around. Of course, here comes the airplanes. Depth charge planes that battleships magically have. That destroy every possible module, even though they missed spectacularly.
Flooding quickly.
See, that's why the submarines aren't fun anymore. People complained about them. Oh, they're too powerful, so they nerfed them into the dirt, and now they're just absolute shit. Just like the rest of the game. Wow, there's a bunch of torps coming through.
Torpedoes to port.
Can't hit me down here, but that's a lot of torps.
Torpedoes to port.
It's really dark underwater on this map. You can't see the sub. That sucks. Because the game isn't fun to play. The graphics are cool to look at. I want to see the graphics, and it's too dark.
Target.
Kick off a couple of traps, just on the off chance. Get a couple 5,000-6,000 damage. That's all I need. I'm either going to get the first one bonus or I'm not. Scoring is so pathetic in this game. Alright, let's see what's going on. Bunches of torps. Am I gonna have to dive, or have I got them outrun? Probably got them outrun.
Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy battleship sighted.
There's a ship over here called the Mysore. Definitely British. I think? Let me see if that flag tells me what it is.
Enemy destroyer sighted.
No, it's European. I don't know if that ping's gonna get to it. I was too busy looking at that ship I've never heard of. Yeah, those torps won't turn in time. Try to keep the Renown in sight. I mean, there's just no right way to play these things, man. These submarines are just incredibly dull. Too slow to get anywhere, too fragile to do anything. They just suck. Can't even spot with them. They have no better detectability than a full-blown destroyer. There's just completely nothing you can do with these ships. This is another loss.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
All right. I've detected. Oh, that Benson saw me briefly. I'm gonna ping that cruiser just to piss him off.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Oh, Renowned has hydroacoustic search.
Warship. The ship is on fire.
I'm just gonna surface and let him have it point blank. Maybe if I get loaded in time.
Torpedoes, direct front.
I got a battleship with hydroacoustic search and torpedoes. Oh my god. What should I do, chat? I would have liked to have gotten a first win bonus. I can't stomach this anymore. I just can't do it. I'm not even going to look at that game again. At least not tonight. All of my games are such shit right now, man. Every one of them. Hell Let Loose, maybe? Let's go take a look. Let's go see what my options are. Let's measure my options. Hell Let Loose isn't a bad choice. It can't be worse than all this other crap I'm playing. It just can't. So let's go turn off the YouTube stream. Since it's just pointless. It's just easier to divide things up into chapters when you do that.